Peace and blessings. I am Real Talk Tiff, hostess of the Real Life with Real Talk show right here on Wooger.biz. We're outside of the St. Stephen's Community House. We have Ms. Charlita Tavares, Mr. Oyango Snell, and Mr. Dan Stewart all inside now as they tell us about their vision and mission in the seat for the District 15 Senate.
The question I have to the panel tonight is, does race still matter? Or should we only be concerned about a person that will represent this district best? Is this or is this not a black seat?
Race still does matter in these United States. It is unfortunate, but it is also true. I believe that this seat, the 15th Senate District, has been honorably and strongly represented over the last 8, 16, 20 years. It's not just because the individuals who have represented the 15th Senate District, my senator, Senator Miller, who is here, happens to be African American, but because there are needs, disproportionate needs, of African American and other people of color. When you look at who raises the issues around health disparity, around employment disparities, around job and business disparities, whether we're talking about housing disparities, every major policy area, African Americans and people of color are at the very bottom, disparate conditions. And so who raises those issues? African Americans raise the issues when we talk about disparities. We have 17 African Americans out of 133 members of the Ohio General Assembly. We have no Latino, no Asian, no people of color other than African Americans representing the needs of people of color. To say that somebody who happens to be Caucasian cannot represent is untrue, because they can. But I've been around politics since I was in high school, and I have not seen the issues raised around race-specific disparities, whether it's housing, whether it's health care, whether it's jobs and employment. Yes, we've got legislators who can and do represent a lot of issues and raise a lot of issues around health care broadly for those who are uninsured and underinsured. We have legislators who raise the issue around housing for those who need affordable housing. But when there's issues around discrimination or more people who are homeless who happen to look like me, those issues aren't raised.
Jeff, I think it's the people seat. You asked two questions. You asked, is this a black seat? And I think it's the people's seat. So the people, the individual that the people decide is the people's representative. But more importantly, throughout my canvassing through this district, the entire 15th Senate District, on the west side, on the south side, on the east side, up north, when I talk with residents, the color that they're concerned about is green. White, black, Asian, Latino, Somali. The color that they have referred me to is green. How are we, as legislators, as leaders, as policymakers, going to create and bring jobs that are relevant and that are long-standing to our community? They don't look at me when I go knock on the door in the Clintonville area, where there's a predominantly Caucasian base in that ward in 18. They don't look at me and say, well, we've had black representation for a number of years. Are you going to stand up for our issues? Are you going to only stand up for African American issues? When I'm on the west side, they don't do that either. They talk about, how are you going to create jobs and opportunities for us? How are you going to create jobs and opportunities for our young people that are going to come after us? Regardless of what your color is, regardless of what your sex is, and regardless of what your age is. The reality of it is that if you are a servant leader, if you are a true servant leader, you don't look at race, you don't look at age, you don't look at gender, but you try hard and roll your sleeves up to resolve the issues of your district. And I say that, of your district, because I believe that there, you know, no pun intended, Mr. Stewart, but at one of your town hall meetings, I believe that you said Lincoln Park needs to be level. Lincoln Park on the west side, level, like the ghetto on the east side. That's being out of touch with your district. That's not understanding the total dynamics of your district and the total demographics of your district. So you need a servant leader who is competent, capable, skilled, and willing to serve the entire district, young and old, white and black and indifferent. Thank you.
Correction, you were not there, Mr. Snellman. I did not say that. Lincoln Park does need to be leveled. I grew up near there when I was a kid, and it became one of the coolest places to live when I was in high school. People lived out there, and it had 2 swimming pools and 2 clubhouses. But they had 16,000 runs one year on police and fire, and it is devastating out there what's happened, and they have not kept that property up. And as part of economic development, we need affordable housing, not facilities that are not up to code, which I've taken tours with Barb Poppy, that used to be head of the Community Shelter Board. This stuff was not up to code. These people were living in unacceptable housing. But to correct that, I wanted to make that clear. I do agree partially with my friend Councilman Tavares that race does matter. However, though, I remember when I supported Ben Espy when he ran for this seat, and people said, well, you know, Ben can't win a, black guy can't win a 70% white district. And I said, yes he can. Yes he can, and I supported him. I supported Mayor Coleman when they said, an African American can't win the mayor's race in the city. And I said, yes he can, and he did. And, I supported, I was one of the first legislators to come out and support Barack Obama and said, yes, an African American can become the President of the United States, and we've proven that. I do think race matters, but I also agree with you, Mr. Snell, that I don't need to be a woman to have fought so hard for the issues on contraceptive equity and the care bill that I've championed for the last 7 years. I, understand, because I have never experienced that myself, but I have all too many friends, too many women friends who have experienced that. 1 in 7 women will experience that in the state of Ohio. I have fought for seniors, and I'm not quite there yet, so I don't need to be a senior to take on that and champion that issue. But I do think race matters, and I think it's important, though, that we work together. I don't think Dr. King, when he talked about sitting at the table together, I don't think there were assigned seats. I think what it was about is working together. Now, I come from a background of organized labor, too, the Service Employees International Union, which is a predominantly African-American women labor organization, frontline healthcare workers. I've fought for years to get fair treatment of nursing home workers and janitors. I come from that background in organized labor because it matters what we do for working people and for women and for people of color.